Let's talk about Ricardo Pepi though.
Yeah,
because it's not easy. It's not easy to score for a team though. It's not easy to score for a team that's not very good. He learned that with Augsburg, and Groningen just not an upper echelon team in the Eredivisie and scraping at the relegation zone in Holland as well. So to create opportunities to score goals, I really liked how he played this weekend, running the channels really well. His kind of his movement off the ball has been pretty good. Now, they didn't play the greatest team this weekend, but still some promise there. Where does he go next, our resident number 9, Charlie Davies?
Well, you did say they didn't play the greatest team, but they played a team that was fighting with them to stay up. And so it's a massive win. It helped them gain ground. But I think, again, looking at his trajectory, he went to the wrong club, right?
Initially, you're talking Augsburg.
Yes, that's a fact. Needed playing time, made the move to Holland, and Groningen was a good club because he's going to play all the time, although it's not a great club in terms of a team that's going to be competing in that league. So I think his next step is either to stay in Holland and go to a bigger club, which could be a possibility, or you go to Belgium and you play on a top club there because that league is also caters to strong strikers, and you can get a good move to another club in a top league, or you go back to the Bundesliga, and I just don't see another Bundesliga saying, "Hey, we'll take Ricardo Pepi." So I think it's a move to the top team in Denmark, another team in the Netherlands, or a Belgian league. I don't see him, playing in France, playing in the Bundesliga, playing in England or Spain. Maybe a top team in Portugal as well.
Yeah, I like the idea of a Feyenoord or Asad Akmar or a PSV, obviously Ajax, of course, but anywhere that they're going to be, he needs to be in a place where they are dictating, where he can continue to develop and get chances. In the Dutch league, there's no league in Europe. As a striker, you're going to get more chances, regardless if unless you're obviously fighting relegation is different, but they tend to play that total football system, open chances, a lot of attacking play. And so I would love to see him stay there over, Bundesliga. Unless you're one of the top teams, you got to be pretty clinical with everything. And I do think he's clinical, but I still think he's young, and he needs another 2 years before I say, go back to the Bundesliga and show what you got.
What's interesting is Ramiro makes a good comment. What's up, Ramiro? Thanks for the support around him going to France, maybe going to Lille if Jonathan David gets sold, playing with Timo Weah there at Lille, but maybe Timo Weah's gone too, Mr. Left Back, Timo Weah. But I wonder if France would be that maybe next step where it's not the other leagues.
What?
No, you wouldn't let him go to France?
I think you are underrating France.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, listen.
I'm telling you,
this is Charlie Davies we're talking about.
I'm just saying.
Charlie played in France.
Sorry. I'm not trying to underrate.
Charlie's one of those guys going to go as Premier League.
I'm not trying to underrate
and then the
France.
rest in Charlie's mind,
I'm just saying there's a drop off. I feel like in France that maybe there's less of a drop off in the other leagues.
I'm just saying, be realistic.
I am being realistic.
You can't not
stop yelling at me
at Augsburg, go to Groningen, and think you're going to get a move to a Lille, for instance. That's just not going to happen.
Okay, but do you think there's a team in France? I mean, I know there's the one with that 30-year-old manager that's doing pretty well at the moment. But
if you're not playing on
at the Balogun,
a top half team in France, it's very, very difficult, and he'd be in a similar situation to
Jonathan David came from Ghent. It wasn't like Ghent's not a big, huge club.
I wonder. The Ricardo Pepi situation is interesting. So let's move this into a bigger conversation with everybody that's watching on the YouTubes and following us and listening on any podcast platform of your choice. Hit us up at ISWT Pod on the Twitter if you guys want to join the conversation later, if you're just hearing this later. But who's leading for this March break that's about to come up for the U.S. men's national team in the Nations League? Who's our number 9? Who are we starting? Is it? Let's go to resident number 9, Charlie Davies.
Hey, hold on.
You go with DK? DK's got – I thought DK layoff – the second goal for DK, that little cheeky layoff that kind of set the sequence in motion was excellent.
Hey, Charlie, before you answer, I do want to point out, and I don't know if either of you guys got the chance to watch the Seattle Colorado game yesterday, but Darren Yappy 18 years old, started up top for Colorado, is a true number 9. And I don't know a lot of number 9s in our pipeline right now. You could say.
So you're ready to give Darren Yappy?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying before we move on to this, I'm saying if there is a player that's slated for a breakout year in Major League Soccer, it is going to be a player like Darren Yappy if he does play these games, because he is a wonderful target striker, comfortable on the ball. He's not a Cade Cowell or Serge Ngoma that's going to be more of your winger type in a front 3 or in a 2-forward system. He can play traditional striker thing. I'm not saying calling him up. I wanted to mention that before we moved on to the call ups of just like, I don't know if you guys saw him, but just to keep an eye on type of guy,
So keep an eye on Figueroa as well, because he went up the U17s.
Still can't beat Mexico though.
I'm gonna go with right now. Sargent would be the starting striker.
Okay, you got Sargent.
Yep.
I mean, how hard do you think we should be pushing hard to get Fuller and Balogun at this point? And I wonder.
I think that's worth a realistic conversation to say, is this something that could happen, or is he adamant that he has the quality to play in England and he's gonna give it everything he can until he's in his late 20s to make that happen?
Okay.
So
what about
I think
DK?
he's got a year. I think he's got a year before he's got to decide.
DK, I love that DK scoring goals, but it's still we're still have yet to see him have the ability to control the ball in tight spaces at the international level, at the international stage.
Well, how is he going to get a chance if we don't call him in?
We have seen.
Yeah, Charlie, remember your first touch when you first got in the national team? I do because it went to me. Because your first touch meant I got the ball, Charlie.
It took some time. Time.
No, but Daryl DK is only 22. So the thing that I like, we've been mentioning his name for a while. He really, we're not talking about 25, 26-year-old trying to still figure it out, right? That is the thing that I think is going to keep him in the pool to continue to get more looks. Now, I agree with Charlie. I don't think he's necessarily the starter coming in, but you definitely got to call him up and keep him in that mix to just sort of see, is this the breakout time? Again, Charlie, I make the joke about your touch, which obviously wasn't the case, but there was a period that wasn't necessarily where you, Charlie Davies, were lacking as a player. It was you, Charlie Davies, didn't have it all at one moment for the national team, right? You had it at the club level, you're doing all those things, and then you found your comfort, your confidence, and then we saw, I remember it was like overnight, like this guy figured out where he's good, how to become this powerful, high-energy player that could be impactful in a different way that 2 months before you saw bits and pieces of like, yeah, but will it all come together? And then it came together, and you're like, okay. Then you went from Charlie Davies, youth national team guy, national team player, pool, to them being like, that's our star, like that's the guy. And those were leaps that you never know if they were all going to come together. So Daryl DK is one where I'm like, does he have that type of upside that you have? Maybe not, but at least can he bring those tools together to fight for a starting spot on the national team? I hope so.
I think it's just adjusting with the speed of play. And adjusting to his first touch, regardless, needs to improve. That has to happen. But I've seen how far he's come from college, because in college I watched him play, and he really lacked with his finishing, because his hold up play, that was never in doubt. He's big, he's strong, he knows how to use his body, and then his movements around the box were good. But then it was just lacking the finishing in the first touch. That improved tremendously with Orlando City. And then obviously all of a sudden he goes to the championship, lights it on fire, and he's starting to score goals in different types of goals. So you love that. But still, in terms of, we all know the international level is one level up from club, no matter where you play. It's just the speed of play is like that. And if your first touch is not on point, you suffer. You let the team down because you lose possession, you lose confidence. And we saw that when he came into the Gold Cup. He didn't have his best performance. And I think that took him down a whole notch when you see from Greg Berhalter's eyes and the players. And then he gets hurt, and that's hard to recover. So I think you give everything you can. You work the hardest to get back. Now he's scoring goals. He's feeling good. He deserves to be called in. But to be starting, I'd say, hold on. Let him just keep working and fine-tuning his game till he can get to be the best version of Daryl DK.
Okay, so just to continue to stir the pot, would you bring Zach Steffen back into the team? He's playing more than Matt Turner.
But is it stirring the pot? 100% he gets called back in.
Do you? I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what happened there, but it's also that was under Greg Berhalter. So, Greg Berhalter's not there. Whatever that was or whatever that is, I still don't know. But like either way, he's playing regularly. He was our number one for a good while. Call him back in.
I'm just curious. Yes, I agree with you that Zach Steffen should get called back in. But I wonder what that looks like. That would be like, oh, hey, guys, how was the World Cup?
I think
that'll be interesting walking back into that locker room.
I only think there's only one player that you hesitate towards, and that's Gio Reyna.
Tim Ream.
Gio Reyna.
No, I agree. Well,
that's the only player that you'd say, do we bring him in with all of this, or maybe it is let's bring him in, just let's kill it, because then it won't be an issue after you bring him in. It's done. We're moving on. Yada yada. Or do you say, man?
But he's not playing. It's not like there's anything to warn about bringing him in. I don't know. Now Tim Ream. I mean, the only thing with Tim Ream is his age, but the guy every year passes, he gets better. Like he's like Benjamin Button.
He's automatic right now. My man is balling.
He is awesome. He's been playing great.